This is Josh Witzman from Mindless Philosophy, a blog here on WordPress. It's mindlessthefirst.wordpress.com. And this is obviously an audio recording that we have today. I'm resurrecting one of my favorite segments that I used to do, where I interview people I know and ask them questions about things that they like. And it's called People I Know, oddly enough. Today we'll be interviewing my good friend David Tavolier, who we've worked on several projects together. And I've known him a long time, several years. And so the reason I wanted to do this audio recording is when I've done this in the past, I've interviewed people and recorded them just on a small handheld device, and it's really a pain to transcribe conversations and type it out. So we're going to record this. We're going to post it. You can listen and hear the words of wisdom and inspiration that will come from David Tavolier. David Tavolier.
Quite a setup.
Yes. Thank you. Welcome to Mindless Philosophy.
Thank you for having me.
So you're familiar. We talked about this. You're familiar with. I'm going to ask you some questions, just random questions, and just
Vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
How long is this? Not that
how long is what our questions?
Is it typically? I don't remember.
It can be long. I talked to
Okay.
Carl for probably 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah. We started talking at
You didn't
9.
write it all down. And put
No, I edited it
Right.
pretty heavily. It's Carl.
Right.
I mean, it was just a lot of nonsense. But there were
Plus, you don't want to send spell check into a frenzy.
Yeah.
Having to correct all of Carlisms.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carl.
No. But I mean, there were a lot of. I went back actually and reread all of my previous interviews, and I had some good questions. I feel like I don't have as good of questions for you.
Great.
I feel like I wasted all my good questions. Not wasted. I feel like I used up all my good questions. I don't want to repeat my questions. That's why. I mean, I could just give you the same interview I gave Carl, but
Sure.
And Jason. Jason had a great interview too. I feel
How
like
long was this?
We probably set. It was probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours. We went to anyway. Well, we're not going to go to the details.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking about you.
cares?
We're
Who
here to
cares?
talk
We're
about
here
you.
now.
We're here to
We're
talk
here
about
now.
you. And Jeff Holman, I interviewed him, and he had a lot of good things to say about chiropractic. Anyway,
Okay.
we're not talking about them.
Sure.
So let's get right to it.
All right. What's up?
What is it that you do for a living?
Well, I work for a company in downtown Cleveland. I do video work. That's what I've been trying to do for my adult life. Finally got a job where I'm doing that. Nothing crazy. Nothing amazing. I just do sort of kind of boring sort of internal sort of sales videos and mostly people on green screen and stuff. But it's good. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like
Good
the
experience.
best job. Like it's so great.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you showed me some of your work just moments ago, and there was a Star Wars. It was pretty impressive production piece.
Well, we do a lot of green screening. It's it's like perfect because I don't it's like the perfect entry level job for me. Like I was looking for so long for. It was hard finding. I didn't have a job in video for 2 years out of college. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was just looking, and it's really hard to find a job. And
yeah, it's a pretty specific field.
it's hard to jump in. Yeah, and I I didn't have a lot of good work to show, and it's a lot about networking for video.
That makes sense.
It's not like a normal job where you.
I'm sure you have to have
full resume.
you have to have a portfolio and all that as well. Stuff
Yeah.
to show would be good.
Yeah, and it's for video. It's just really different because it's depends on the company. It depends on what you're applying for. It's such a broad thing to say I do video. That could be a lot of things, and it's hard to it's hard to make a resume when you have no job. You just say I do video stuff and I went to college for it, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Well, and here's a good segue to my next question is,
yeah.
what exactly did you go to school for? Now I know we did a lot of videos together during your college years.
That's right.
But what's your degree?
I have a bachelor's degree in Bachelor of Arts degree in. My diploma says mass media, but that was the first time I knew I was going for mass media is when I got my diploma.
Oh, so this is what I've been
I mean,
studying for.
Again, it was like one of those things where it's like I want to like I thought my major was technically media production I was in the School of Communications, which covers like video stuff, like video, radio, but also covers things like interpersonal communication stuff, like PR people.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Stuff. So
Which is sort of what you're in now.
Not really.
Well,
I mean,
great. I wasn't listening.
So you haven't been listening.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything you said.
But but it was one of those things too. I always tell people it's like I really didn't need a degree. Like I went to a regular college and I went for like 5.5 years. I started going part time and like I realized they even told us like my second semester like you don't need a degree for what you want to do. You remember Dr. Hoffman?
Yeah.
Was, like, in charge of a really great guy, and he was the one who said that. He was like, I forget what, because I was in like a, what do you call it? We had like a, I forget what you call it, but it's when it's like the same, you're with the same people, they're having the same major, so you have a lot of the same classes.
Oh yeah, like
a name for it.
Yeah, there's
Anyway,
we went to school.
We don't know anything. But he said like, it's not about like the degree, the piece of paper you're gonna get. It's about like what you're learning, and then it's all about like
techniques,
learning what you're doing, and how to like work your way into the field somehow. And so, but with my job now, it just it took 2 years for me to find something. But all it was it was basically all about having some video. In between those years, the video that my boss now saw and what got me the interview was I made a video for. My uncle for his company. I was doing these videos.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
It was one of those videos, and that's when I was putting it on top of my Vimeo page and saying like, as for an example work. But
you didn't put Reginald Sterling on the front of your Vimeo.
You know what? No.
Okay. For anybody that does,
because the Reginald Sterling videos, I love them. They're not good because of the video work. They're just funny because they're supposed to be simple anyway. They're supposed to be like you looking you face the camera.
No. If you're listening to this and you have no idea what Reginald Sterling is, just Google it and see what you come up with.
But the great thing about what I did at college was because I worked for ZTV, which is what we did the videos for, the Reginald Sterling videos. And what was great about it was extracurricular. So that's the thing. Like, you got like 1 credit a year or semester.
Still,
but it was great because it was something to make videos and not only get better at what you're doing and learn, but you then I had all these videos that I could put on a create a resume for. Which I did. I had some. Well, and again, some of them weren't good because I wasn't.
But it was a learning process.
But that was the idea, is that you got to create a lot of stuff, and that was the best part, is like constantly making stuff so you learn and all that.
So why did you want to go into this then? What made you want to get down this path?
I was very say probably somewhere in high school. I think it was my sophomore year, I want to say, because I remember being in class. Or no, maybe it was my first year, because I was in English class. And the only reason I always wanted to get into like filmmaking and directing was actually I was very disillusioned in high school. I didn't really have any.
Weren't we all?
I was in English class, and we were asked to pick out a book, any book we wanted, and then we had to like. I don't remember the exact details, but we had to go find a book to read. That was bad.
Hey, it's English class. Go find a book, kids.
Write something. But we could pick anything we wanted. And up to that point, I wasn't really a big reader. I had gotten really into like Lord of the Rings. That was when Lord of the Rings came out, so I read all those books, and that really got me reading.
It's a good start. I guess if you can read that, you can pretty much read anything. Really.
I don't know how that's another
Anyway,
story. But anyway, I'd always wanted to read Stephen King because I'd always like seen a lot of his movie adaptations, and there's his one book called Salem's Lot. It's his second book. And it's about vampires, and I saw that they had a movie version of it, and I remember thinking, oh, I didn't realize Stephen King did a book about vampires. So I got the book, and like I read the book, and it's still one of my favorite books ever. But it's because it's really good early Stephen King, and I remember reading it, and I hadn't read very many like adult like horror novels. I hadn't read any like adult horror novels. I haven't read very many like adult books in my time.
And yeah,
But I remember reading it and just thinking like legitimately reading parts and getting freaked out.
yeah.
And that came at a time where like I was not a fan of like the horror movies at that time. All the horror movies, that was like when
Well,
The Ring came
yeah,
out, and like
yeah.
that's when like CGI started becoming like a huge
Yeah.
like thing in movies. And I remember thinking like, how is this like what these like the vision I had in my head? I remember thinking like, how is this not a movie? Like, why don't they make movies like that are legitimately this scary, like visually, like he really puts a visual in your head that, and I still attest that most of the movies based on his books are not
Or
don't even come
garbage.
close to like
Yeah.
how like creepy his books can be. I don't blame necessarily one because it's hard to do.
Yeah. Any book adaptation is generally
And especially
not as
now,
good.
what I've learned since, and what goes into making a film and
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, so like I remember that was like the moment where I was like, I think I kind of want to be a movie maker because I would love to like make something as like like
Have the opportunity to like
yeah,
an adaptation like that.
the idea of adapting like a book like that and sort of bringing about the sort of creepiness that you don't see in movies. And I thought at the time, at least at the time, I don't know if I still could, but I remember thinking that'd be like really cool to do. And that's when
Yeah.
I thought like maybe I want to make movies,
Wow,
get a
that's-
video.
yeah.
So and that was a long time ago. That was
Still, yeah.
way back in high school, and
Back
ever
in the
since
day.
I've never had any other thoughts. I remember because I wasn't in big high school. I wasn't great in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't really commit myself to anything. I was kind of just floated through high school.
Yeah.
And so when I graduated, I was just like, I remember seeing, I just went to, I'll say, University of Akron.
Oh,
I was
University of Akron.
And it was close by, so I just saw, like, oh, you can major in media production. Well, and that was pretty much it.
That was the start.
Yeah. There was also, in my senior year, there was a media production class they tried to do. And,
High school media, anything
It was
is always
yeah.
amusing.
well, and when I took the class, it was the first class they tried.
Oh,
And the guy who ran it wasn't a media guy. He was an English teacher,
well, that's
and
close.
they had but it was like we learned nothing. Like we didn't do anything. Like we went to class
Great.
every day and just sat there. And
yeah.
we tried at first, but nothing worked out. And my teacher didn't know what he was doing. And we tried to film stuff and didn't work. We tried to do a broadcast and that because we had like a little. It must have been some sort of like newsroom. Or it must have been an old news class
yeah.
like way long ago.
Like where they used to
that they
do like
hadn't done.
announcements
Because-
or
yeah,
something.
because they had this like the glass in the classroom
Hmm.
and like the counter in the back, so you could go and record and whatever. But that was my that was
All right.
interesting because nothing
Yeah.
happened and whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So, what are some of your? This is like a three-part question, typical kind of question.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some of your favorite movies? Like your specific
I've
movies.
Never seen a movie.
Oh well, this is going to be a very difficult career path for you then.
Just kidding.
Give me like I don't know, one or two of your favorite like all-time favorite movies, like
Sure.
that you can watch over and over again. Give me favorite genre of movies. Like if you're going to watch something, and then just start with that. Start with that, and then we'll go from there.
Well, my go-to answer every time is pretty much. I mentioned it earlier. Actually, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Right.
Like those movies were, to me, like what Star Wars must have been for possibly someone like you or people who came out or were kids at the time.
No, right.
But it was like one of those things where like I just became obsessed with Lord of the Rings. I read the books, and I went and saw the movies, and they just, like Fellowship of the Ring just blew my mind because
Yeah.
visual, especially for the time, like visually,
my God.
it's just amazing.
Time nothing.
amazing.
It's still great.
And so the trilogy, it's just like one of those movies that I just love getting lost in Middle Earth. So. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite movie anymore.
It is. That's a
It's
dumb
like-
question. I'm sorry I asked it.
genres.
No.
But that aside, what's
No, like so like favorite genre. By that I mean like there's three movies playing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a movie of every genre playing. Let's say like drama. There's a comedy. There's a fantasy movie. There's a cartoon. What would you if you had to pick one movie to watch every time? What do you generally gravitate toward for genre of movie that you enjoy?
It's difficult because it's a hard answer because as far as favorites go, I'm very like I have a terrible attention span.
So Lord of the Rings is obviously choice, an obvious choice for.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I can't sit still.
Well,
for
that's
a
the
long
thing.
time.
Like, I'm very like I like big budget movies. I love all the like the Marvel movies, the superhero movies. I love going to the movies to see those because you don't have to. I'm trying, especially I do watch like serious things and complicated movies,
right.
But my favorite things to watch are things where I can just kind of plop down and sort of turn my mind off and just kind of watch something silly. But but comedies too. I do like comedies.
Comedy stuff.
As many more TV shows and movies.
All right, well, listen here. This might help narrow the whole thing down.
But
well, go ahead. No. You finish.
Well, I've always wanted to be like. We were talking about Stephen King. I've always wanted to do horror movies. I think would be like really fun to do. Like, they're not necessarily, but horror is not necessarily my favorite genre of movies.
Would just be good to like. Yeah, I agree. And I think too with that's also a dumb question too. But I like to see how people answer it. But because there's good genre movies of every kind, and there's bad genre. I mean, it's anyway. So let me help you maybe narrow it down. Okay. Well, who would you say is your favorite director of all time, or maybe your current favorite director? I don't know, however you want to answer that, but favorite director.
That's also a hard one because I don't really have a lot of favorites, but I am a big Coen Brothers fan. I will say that.
Yeah.
Which especially because recently I've been watching because I love directors where you can tell it's a film of theirs when you're watching.
Yes. I actually just started watching Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yes.
I watched that first episode, and that first episode is just so Sam Raimi. Like,
and Sam Raimi is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. The Evil Dead. I fucking love the Evil Dead movies.
They're great movies,
Those are movies that like the first Evil Dead is one of those movies that like kind of one of those movies that just sort of broke my mind when I watched it. It was like I didn't know you could. I know it was like a low budget movie, but it was just so crazy and weird that I just didn't know you could make movies like that.
And,
So I love Sam Raimi for that. He's not necessarily my favorite.
No, but yeah.
I mean, he's great stuff. Like Spider-Man movies are great.
Yeah. Dark Man.
I want to see Drag Me to Hell again. I haven't seen that one.
That's great. That's another one. Though you don't even have to. You just have to know a little bit about Sam Raimi. See that movie and you're like, oh, this is a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
But you were saying about other directors. But sorry, before I interrupted you.
So, no, what was I saying? What's
just that the directors that have a certain style.
Oh yeah, well that's it. I mean, like exactly. So like Sam Raimi, you can tell you're watching Sam.
Yeah.
There's like that scene in Spider-Man 2 where like Dr. Octopus is like in the surgery room and they're like trying to get the things off him, and then there's that whole scene that is just like all the like crash zooms are very Sam Raimi-ish and they're great. But I really like Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
And that always sounds like such a hipster answer. Like
it's
that's a go-to.
It goes in waves. Well, it goes in waves because like I feel like it gets very popular for a while and then it's like, oh, it's Quentin Tarantino is the best.
I'll tell you what, actually, my favorite.
But he's solid. He's been putting stuff out for years now.
I never really hear people actually say this, but I would have to say probably the biggest inspiration, and you would know what I'm talking about, is probably like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
because
without a doubt,
he just makes like he's inspired to me because he just makes great like entertaining movies. That's what I like is things that are entertaining.
Yeah,
and for me, like growing up, like Indiana Jones was always like a part of like movies. You had like all those. Like all his movies are things like you and I like were that or I mean most especially
quintessential like movie. You think of a movie,
and he's someone who like does like no one makes movies like him.
Oh yeah,
he makes great characters. Even just the things he produces. Like one of my favorite movies, Poltergeist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even though he didn't direct
that's right.
he's got a lot of influence on it, and it's got that sort of. I just love that movie because it's got that sort of almost suburban like feel to it. Where like a lot of his movies, like E.T.
I've never heard Steven Spielberg described as that, but
because,
perfectly sums up.
I think it's because it seems so
suburban.
Obvious that people tend not to like. They think, oh, he just makes entertaining. Like he's almost like. It's almost like saying like you love Michael Bay, like he just makes entertaining stuff. But he also makes great. He made like Schindler's List, and even his movies, like while they're fun, they're still like great, stories to them. There's great ideas in there and subtext sometimes. And
well, and I feel like too, and you might feel differently, but he's not one of those directors that has that. You watch a Steven Spielberg movie, and you necessarily think like, oh, this is a Steven Spielberg movie, until afterwards. Like his shots and stuff aren't as. He's more of a chameleon than like a. But and then if you didn't know and you found out later, you'd be like, oh yeah, obviously that's a Steven Spielberg movie. Mm-hmm. But I think that just is a test. I mean, he can do anything.
And he just like changed the game a lot. Like when he started, like him and George Lucas.
Yeah.
The films they were making were so different. There was nothing like them.
Yeah.
And that's why they're who they are because,
Yeah.
Things like so. Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
That burger. So Steven Spielberg is like, if I was going to aspire to be like any director, it would probably be Steven Spielberg.
That makes sense.
So I like the idea of, and that's part of my problem with like to me horror movies nowadays. It was one of the reasons I wanted to get to make like horror movies, which I feel like the ones that come out now are so like you don't care about the characters. Like it feels like a horror movie.
They're all expendable. Like, who cares?
Yeah, but like, I think Steven Spielberg movies are very character driven.
Yeah,
and I like character driven movies a lot. Yeah, I feel like if you don't care about the characters, then I don't care about what's going on in the movie, what happens.
Yeah,
whatever.
Exactly. Anyway. So, just continuing on the movie line of questioning, real quick. Mm-hmm. Sequels are all the rage right now.
Are they?
Yes, from what I understand about the movie industry, sequels are really big. Everyone wants to do, you got superhero sequels. They're coming out with
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
The Squeakquel. Comedy movies are getting all kinds of sequels. I mean, you got Anchorman 2. Zoolander 2 is coming out.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of like researching old properties lately.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
like Zoolander 2 is out now,
and that's been going on for a while. But I feel like
really right now. Like Anchorman, like researching movies that came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Like there's
that gap. Like, it's really weird. Like
I think they've made all the sequels to the movies that came out like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, oh, let's go back 10 years. People like this one, let's make this.
Yeah. But and it's the same people, but they all look slightly older.
Yeah,
Dumb and Dumber 2.
That's God. Yeah. Anyway. So having pointed all that out, sequels are difficult to pull off.
They are.
And that a successful sequel is even harder to pull off.
It is.
What would you say are some of your favorite sequels?
Favorite sequels, huh?
Yeah. Successful, like good sequels.
Well, a good segue, I guess. Talking about Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Is one of those movies where it's like a sequel, but it's just great on its own.
Yeah, and
There's movies. I was thinking about sequels a lot recently because
it's perfect.
There's not recently, but
yeah.
But like when Mad Max came out, the new one.
Yeah.
And I was going back and watching them, and obviously, The Road Warrior is the second Mad Max movie.
Yeah,
it's like easily the best. At least until Fury Road actually might be the best.
Yeah,
which that's a sequel. So.
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll accept it.
And that's a resurgence of a really old property.
Yeah.
Obviously we've been talking a lot about Star Wars recently.
Yeah, we have.
Empire Strikes Back, the sequel.
Best sequel. Probably. What? No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's hard to count as like just a sequel because it's part of a trilogy and it's second act.
Yeah, but I mean, even in movies like even in movies that are a series,
something that topped the
first one. It's hard. It's so hard to top the first one.
You have your Godfather.
Oh yeah,
with its.
Oh my God.
Which I still like the first Godfather better.
Yeah.
But Godfather 2 is probably technically a better movie.
Could be argued,
but could be. What else?
Predator 2.
You just asked me what my favorite sequels are. Yeah. Aliens.
Yes.
Great sequel.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, that's
Better
yeah.
to me better than the
When I first I had this question. I started these questions for like a long time ago. 'Cause you were next in line for my
well, next.
yeah for my interviews, and I had a whole list of sequels, but have since lost that list. And more sequels have come out now, so it doesn't matter anyway. But so I mean, just
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
oh yeah.
Temple of Doom's good.
I was hoping you were going to say Temple of Doom because everyone hates on Temple
Well,
of
I
Doom.
tell you what, I've been, and I've told you this before, but I revisited. We never watched Temple of Doom as a kid.
Right.
We only had Raiders and Last
Sure.
Crusade because, and understand like Temple of Doom's way darker. And,
Yeah, it is a
and,
darker movie,
I don't
for
think
sure.
my mom was into it. And even as a kid, I remember watching it, not really being that into it. But man, I rewatched it within the last year, I think, and I loved it. Like
Yeah.
I really like how completely dark it is and how it's different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's annoying. What's her face?
See, I don't even think she's that bad. I mean, it's
nice.
it's,
But
yeah.
I mean, it didn't take away. Like I was like, she's annoying, but it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
didn't like take me out of the movie. But I do, and now, but now when people bring that up, like I was telling my brother, like I was like, man, just go back and rewatch.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's-
That's yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I'm
it's
glad.
good.
But yeah,
I don't think it's better than Raiders, obviously. But it's
no,
a
I
good
don't think it's
sequel.
better than Raiders, and
I don't
Like-
think it's better than Last Crusade. If you say
well,
so, you're wrong.
I'm not going to say that it's better. I think it's apples and oranges
Yeah, it is very different.
because yeah, I mean, you've got Sean. Anyway,
Yeah.
This is,
yeah.
but we'll save that for
We'll save
our,
that for later.
for our Indiana Jones
Yeah,
interview.
they have to do it in or a podcast.
Yeah. Well, let's take a second to sort of break the news. I mean, since we're already talking about it, that we're
Josh is having a girl. Oh wait, not others.
no, not that. Also, I'm having a girl. No, yeah, but anyway, that we're going to do a podcast. We're going to try to do a podcast.
And if you hate this, you'll hate the podcast.
Yep, you sure will. Well, no, I don't think that's not fair to say because
I know, just kidding.
this is just
I
me.
was just kidding.
Yeah, well,
If you hate us,
if you hate the sound of our
listening to
voice,
voices,
yeah,
you'll hate the podcast.
correct.
But to be fair, for our podcast, we'll have a guest with us.
True. So there'll be a third voice that maybe you'll be able to tolerate
Or hate more.
or love more, and then just cancel out your hate for us.
Right.
So
But keep an eye out for that.
it's coming up.
It's coming up soon.
I'm sure I'll post something on the blog, Mindless Philosophy. If you stumble onto this recording somehow, it's originally was posted on Mindless Philosophy. So okay, we got that. Now let's move away from movies for a moment.
Okay.
I would describe you, David Tavolier. Correct me if I'm wrong.
All right. Will.
You are what I would describe as a well-rounded geek.
A well-rounded geek.
Well-rounded, and that's not anything about your shape. But
Snorted into the microphone.
you have a lot of different interests. You're obviously movies. We've talked about. You like comics. You read a lot of comics. Stephen King. You've read a lot of Stephen King. What would you say are your top 5, like fandom or like geek interests or things that you're into? I mean, video game, whatever you want to talk about. What would you say like are your top 5 obsessions of pop culture? Let's say.
Well,
It's
you know,
more
it's-
broad.
Yeah. It's weird because I sort of fall into that category of I think Milhouse said it best in The Simpsons, where I forget what the exact line
As
is,
he
but
often does.
someone called him a nerd. He's like, no, nerds are really smart,
That's yeah.
or something geek or whatever word they called him.
Good Simpsons quote.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. The thing with me is, yeah, I'm a geek. I like stuff. I like comics. What from a nerd? Not so much lately. I still do, but I used to always be the guy. I have been very lucky to know people. All my friends that I've ever had have always been like into cool stuff, and that's how I've usually always found stuff. Like I was never really good especially when I was younger, about going out and finding stuff on my own.
Yes, completely agree. I
Yeah.
understand.
I would just have friends who would be into stuff, and I would,
I'm especially that way with music. Like,
now that I'm the opposite.
well, see, yeah, but I feel like I just never find any music. Like any music, anything that's on my iPod or like on my computer, or any CDs I have, it's all shit that people have
Yeah.
suggested to me. I've never like discovered a band.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. I discovered
Roland.
I discovered Paul Roland, and I spread that.
And I got that from you.
Yeah. So, and you're the only person that I've ever like
And will always
suggested
ever be
that.
the first person.
Yeah.
The only other
Yeah.
person.
So, but yeah, I understand. I understand completely how you.
Yeah. So like growing up, I was always into stuff. Like I watched TV. I was a TV kid. I liked movies. Wasn't really a sporty kid. Still not really into sports.
Sports.
Sports. Want to have a? Never mind. I'll save that for later. But yeah, and I did a little. I read a little bit when I was a kid, but I didn't read a lot. I didn't read comics when I was little, actually. For comics, I actually started reading comics when I met you.
Oh my God!
Not that I hadn't read a comic before.
Yeah.
But
What is this comic book?
I remember
There's pictures and words.
the thing about comics is I always wanted to, but I always found it really hard. Well, my parents weren't willing to buy me comics every week.
Sure.
Which is understandable because there was
When you're a kid
five
too.
kids.
When you have a lot of brothers and sisters, and you can't like go anywhere
That's
on
the
your
thing.
own.
So like there was a comic book shop near us, and my dad took me and my brother once. And at the time, I was really into Sonic the Hedgehog because, weirdly enough, because this was actually before I moved to 4th Street.
Okay.
I was like before 2nd grade, and our neighbors, and again, like our neighbors had a Sega. And here's the quick thing about video games is I was always loved video games as a kid.
Yeah.
But I never had a system until a 64, Nintendo 64.
Are we the same person?
Could be.
I think we are.
But like, I would always, every time I was a kid though, like anytime I'd go over to somebody's house, like a friend's house, and they had a Super Nintendo, I always wanted a Super Nintendo. All I ever wanted to do was play Super Nintendo. Like I was the most boring friend. Yeah. Like I would come over and be just like, they'd be like, "Hey, let's go outside and play," and I'd be like, "Oh my God, you have Nintendo? Like I really want to play." And I would like really try to convince them to let me play. And it wasn't until, and I never got Super Nintendo, but I finally then I got that and I was able to start playing games. But anyway, we were playing Sonic the Hedgehog. My neighbors had a Sega and they had Sonic the Hedgehog, and we used to go over there and play all the time. And then we tried going to that, and then we went to my dad took me to the comic book shop, and when we got like Sonic the Hedgehog comic
books.
Yeah, and I don't know where they're at, and they're cool too. But the problem is, as far as like superheroes and stuff too, because my brother and I liked we were big into the Batman movies when they came out, so we liked Batman stuff. In fact, my brother, I remember getting a Robin comic at the grocery store one time when he was grocery shopping with my mom. But I didn't understand how to read comics because they're like it's like issue number 25, and I was like, well, do I have to read issues 1 through 25 to be able to read this?
That's true.
You read it, you don't know what's going on, and there's characters as a kid. As a kid,
especially back in the day too, they had like the little like editor's notes, like look back on issue 5.
That was a concept then that I couldn't grasp, and I was kind of like, I don't know where to start reading. And it was, I mean, you're reading all these characters, and I don't know. To me, I was like a movie kid, so I was like, you're introduced to a character and you get everything up front, and not to mention, again, my dad took me for one visit, so I was going to get one comic. He wasn't going to buy me a comic every week, and he wasn't going to buy me the first 25 comics.
Don't get too interested, kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a big deal because I was kind of like, that's fine. And again, I wasn't a great reader, so I stuck to cartoons. Like I watched Batman the animated series.
Oh, that's great.
That was a good replacement for comics to be able to watch that.
Yeah, and I feel like in the 90s too, that was, you had the X-Men cartoon, Spider-Man, Batman. Yeah. It was a good, if you didn't really have to, that's when you started to you didn't necessarily have to read comics to be fans of those characters.
Right.
So, yeah.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out in the end.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about in the geek realm of things?
What else?
I mean, that's good enough. I don't care, but if you had anything else.
Oh, yeah, I mean, video games.
Oh, yeah, that was a good
I mean,
all right, great.
That's what I do. And then now I'm better about going out and finding stuff on my own.
Sure.
TV shows and the like, and
comics.
But I started reading comics because of Target. I started working at Target with you and Carl, and you guys would talk about comics all the time. And that's back when, actually, you know what? The first movie to come out that made me want to read comics was not Iron Man, but it came out before Iron Man. Take a guess.
Before Iron Man?
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man.
No.
Closer to Iron Man?
It was. I'll just tell you. It's
Hulk.
The Ghost Rider movie. The Ghost Rider movie was coming out.
You're the Ghost Rider.
Yeah, the Ghost Rider. That was the year. First year I worked with you, and the Ghost Rider movie was coming out. Yeah. And I was like, I was
Yeah.
intrigued, and you guys would talk about comics all the time, so I was like sort of getting interested in like the Marvel universe and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And so they're coming out with a Ghost Rider movie, and I was like, that guy
Gosh.
looks intriguing,
Yeah.
and he's dark, and he's like,
His head's
a
on
demon.
fire.
Yeah, that's cool. So I got
Talk about sequels, man, too. That's great segue between the Ghost Rider sequel,
the Ghost Rider sequel,
which was terrible.
No,
anyway,
it was,
continue.
we watched it together. Remember?
Yeah, we did watch that together.
Ugh.
Anyway,
That would be that would be if I were to suddenly become a director and was able to make a Marvel movie.
yeah,
I've thought about like a way to reboot Ghost Rider. In a way.
yeah.
'Cause now Doctor Strange is already made.
And then they've got Blade back now too. You could do a Dark Suns. Yeah. God, that would be great.
That'd be cool.
I hope they do that. Anyway, sorry.
But anyway,
I interrupted
Ghost
you.
Rider's coming out, and so I first trip to the comic book shop. I bought like those essentials and bought Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And then from there on out, then I got into the Marvel really hardcore.
yeah. That's and that's a good character
Because the Marvel movies started coming out, and all the Avengers stuff and everything to that.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't think that that's a good character to get into the Marvel universe, but I think so because Ghost Rider has a lot of cameos from other characters, and he's all over the place. He's not just in New York, you know. Anyway,
Well, it was cool because I didn't know anything about him too. Like like Spider-Man, I knew who Spider-Man was.
Sure.
I knew what he could do.
Sure.
Iron Man, same thing.
Yeah,
Ghost Rider was one of those characters that was just like
he's not an A-lister.
right.
Yeah. All right, so that kind of goes into that's good. Going back to horror there for a second. I know you talked about Stephen King, big fan. I know. In fact, you're Lovecraft. I know you're a big Lovecraft fan. We've been reading sort of in unison, not unison, but together. Yeah, we've been talking about.
Had you read Lovecraft before?
When's
the first time you read Lovecraft?
I had read a little bit, like in college. I just remember there were like we had either there was an example of his writing or something, and I read it a little bit, but I didn't. I don't even think we got the whole story or whatever. And then I think when we started talking about it, I don't even. When did we even like?
Well, I remember I first Stephen King would mention Lovecraft every once in a while.
Yeah,
but I didn't know who he was, and I'd heard his name pop up so much, and I knew who Edgar Allan Poe was, but as my knowledge of any old horror guys was non-existent, so I didn't even really know anything about H.P. Lovecraft. But then the first time I read anything with him was in college.
Yeah.
I was taking a horror. No, it was for I think it was for the Stephen King class because we had to.
Oh yeah.
We were writing things that influenced him. We were reading things that influenced.
Just to. You had a class in college about Stephen King. Yeah, which was awesome. I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. It was cool. Like it was awesome. We read a book once every 2 weeks, and we talked about it. It was awesome. The teacher was a weirdo.
Well, as you would expect.
But he was perfect. Yeah, he was perfect.
Bunch of dead bodies in his basement.
And then like by one point we read like excerpts or like Lovecraft stories are relatively short, so we were reading things that like had influenced him, and we read I believe it was The Color Out of Space.
Yes.
Which I really like, and I read it and I was like, this is when I initially read it I didn't really get it. I was like, this is weird. But kind of cool, I guess, and then later, I don't really what really got me into it. Really, now thinking about it, because then I eventually got all his writings. I think we talked about it, and then eventually bought the books and started reading his stories.
The book just shows up at your door, and you read.
Written in blood.
Yes.
Human flesh. Bound in human flesh.
Bound in human flesh. But I know we've been just like. I mean, I have now read like all of Lovecraft. I know you're almost there. You almost have read everything, right? You're getting pretty close.
The versions you have the whole book with all his writings. I have like 3 individual books that together have all his writings. They're not in chronological order.
Right. Well, yeah, that's right.
I don't know how they're picked, but 2 of the books I've read completely. So there's like the last third one that has like some in it, and I've read some of them. But I think a lot of the stuff I haven't read is all his like kind of obscure things and weird, like the Dream Quest of Unknown Cadaver.
Oh yeah.
Haven't read that, and I've read all the big ones. Yeah, Mountains of Madness.
Yeah, there's like a whole dream series of like short stories. Anyway, that's not my question. So, and you already sort of covered this by saying that he was part of your Stephen King class, but do you sort of see, and I guess this is sort of why I got into Lovecraft, is because and currently there's a lot of like you see kind of a big popularity in like Lovecraft like imagery, like the Cthulhu mythos, and like you see Cthulhu shirts and stuff. And it's popping up a little bit more, but I think 10, 12 years ago, it was still sort of on the peripheral of stuff. But
Yeah.
you would hear stuff and like you would see things about Lovecraft, and you would sort of catch little pieces of it. But do you, like me, sort of having read more of his stuff, see now like his influence like everywhere? Like it's almost an obsession. Like anything you like, sort of like, oh, I see the like Lovecraft influence, or this person was obviously inspired by Lovecraft from this XYZ.
Yeah. I think he's more well known now. And I think he's always been around, and there have been people who have read him and taken influence from him. And I think now I think because of the internet, he's very like Cthulhu, like is very popular now for really an unknown reason. I really don't know why now.
Yeah.
Maybe
versus like long ago.
Yeah, and like I think it's because it's like the thing with Lovecraft is like it's really weird stuff. Like it's really like sort of mind if I go on a quick short tirade?
Yes, and I might go on a
not
tirade.
tirade, but
I might go on a tirade. A
little,
tangent.
A little tangent.
Yeah, I might go on one after you. So go ahead.
For me, why I love Lovecraft so much, he came to me at a perfect time, and I'd always like growing up, and this is why I kind of liked horror movies. I grew up sort of like a Christian who believed in like ghosts, and like there was ultimate good and ultimate bad, and there was like demons and angels and like things like that. And I I love The Exorcist is one of my favorite movies. That was one I did. And it still is. Because it's just creepy, the idea of demon possession and stuff. And I always grew up Catholic, so I always liked that.
Catholic.
A lot of the things I liked demons and sort of godly sort of stories, like
dichotomy of good versus evil,
right? And then
dark versus light.
When I was late in college, I started to like change my belief system. Now I'm an atheist. I don't really believe in God. And then I discovered H.P. Lovecraft. And what's great about that is like that's sort of the idea is like in H.P. Lovecraft, it's like it's not good and bad. There's just like we're just like a ball. It's like everything about it is just completely takes what I used to believe in and like it's flipped upside down, and it came at a perfect time because like I think that's why I didn't understand it the first time because I didn't really like it's all about like sort of this we're just sort of this ball of sanity and like a crazy universe.
Sea of madness.
Yes, a sea of madness. And that's what's great because the characters in a Lovecraft tale like realize that and then they go insane because
they can't deal.
Yeah, I can't deal with that. Like there's no God's going to save you. Like Cthulhu is your God. And like and just like that concept to me, all of a sudden like it was a perfect time. I sort of got it. Like I sort of I don't remember what story it was, but it's all clicked, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. And I think that's why he's more popular now, probably.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's the same with and that's why horror movies are so like to me. And this is I think it could be a great time for Lovecraft movies to start being made because of that. Because like now I don't really believe in ghosts or anything like that. So like I still love a good ghost story.
Oh yeah.
But like it doesn't affect me the same way because I don't really believe in ghosts anymore. I used to believe in ghosts, which made it more sort of scary that things like that could happen. Now as an adult, I'm just like it's not scary to me anymore in the same way.
But yeah, no, that's a perfect way to describe it. It's just basically all the elements of religion are in Lovecraft, but it sort of shows, or it's him telling you that like everything you think is completely wrong.
Yeah,
and
it's just really eerie. And then and a lot of the stories are essentially the same.
Yeah,
in a way, like where there's some ancient creature that's coming back, and the main character finds out and is writing this journal from an asylum.
Yeah.
And but I love it. It's so good every time. Like it's really good shit.
Yeah. And here's my tangent is because it's more popular now, and you realize the reasons it probably wasn't as popular is because it was a more conservative time,
He wrote for a magazine. Like he wrote for a
Yeah.
magazine. Like
yeah.
It was just sort of like entertaining, weird fun.
Yeah. But he definitely, he was pretty much a scientist, scientifically minded type of person. Anyway, going back and like looking at people that were specifically influenced by Lovecraft makes me have more respect for those people, those artists, those writers and things like that, because you kind of understand that they were like ahead of the times, like they were into Lovecraft. They were like the hipster Lovecraftians, you know what I mean? Like they were into Lovecraft before it was cool to be into Lovecraft. And I always think of people give Stan Lee a lot of guff about stuff, but I mean, if you look at Doctor Strange, that's clearly I mean, based on Lovecraft, the words and the style of writing and stuff. And Stanley, he was a smart dude. He read a lot of stuff. He was well read, and just gives me more respect for Stan Lee.
Sure.
Kind of like understanding that. But anyway, that was my tangent. So
Good tangent.
thank you. I'm gonna skip a couple questions here. We're running a little long, but let's go. Let's talk about video games real quick. You are currently undertaking, or maybe you might be done by now, I'm not sure, but you're currently undertaking one of my something that I'm really, I don't know what the correct word is, jealous of you, or it was a great idea, I guess, that you had.
I created video games.
You're the video game creator. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I love your work.
You're welcome, America.
No,
The
you're
world.
just American video games, not. You are currently replaying like all of the Star Wars video games, like ever, or like most of the Star Wars video games.
Yeah, not as much. Well, I still am. I've been mostly playing like new stuff recently. I just got an Xbox One. I didn't have anything for a while. Like I've only growing up, I was mostly a Nintendo guy,
Right.
and I didn't get a Wii U. And even when the Wii was out, there was plenty of games, but I kind of. I mean, I didn't really have the time for it with college and stuff.
Sure.
I kind of hadn't really, and I couldn't afford to buy a new system.
Yeah,
really.
well,
I mean, I
that's-
could have, but I didn't. And I hadn't played video games in a while, but I just got my Xbox, so I've been playing that a lot. But before that, the leading up to when I sort of was getting re-hooked to Star Wars again, like a year and a half ago. Well, it started because I was playing. I busted out Rogue Squadron.
Oh yeah.
And Shadow
Classic.
of the Empire.
Oh, yeah.
For the Nintendo 64.
Great games.
Which is but playing those,
Sort of.
even though I knew not just the movie was coming out, but I was like, this was like a year and a half before Force Awakens came out. But like that resurged my love for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I was just playing it, and it was because it made me think of like old Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
Not to shit on the prequels, but. And then
Everyone else does.
I was just playing those, and I was like, man, and I just got on this huge kick of like Star Wars games. So I went back. And I was just playing other ones I hadn't played for other systems. Well, I was playing I was playing like pod racing stuff. Like I played that a lot as a kid.
That's a great game. I love the pod racing game.
So fun. And I just got on this weird kick of like old games, and so I eventually got Knights of the Republic.
Yes.
Played that.
Awesome
That was
game.
pretty great.
So I guess
There's still a lot.
oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Man,
there's a ton of.
What do I have? I was playing Dark Forces. I haven't played that in a while.
Oh yeah.
It's hard.
You played what was it? Naboo Battles or
Battle for Naboo.
Battle for Naboo.
Which is really good. It's by the same people who did Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. What was the other one that you said was terrible?
Jedi Power Battles.
Jared's Jedi Power Battles.
And it is terrible.
Yeah.
But I still beat it.
Yeah, well,
And,
that's you have that on your resume.
It's like a terrible, terrible game. Here's the thing: it could have been really fun, but it was clearly like they weren't finished with the game, so they just like made it as
Push it out.
barely playable and just kind of pushed it out there. And there's so many glitches. Like you're playing it, like the mechanics are terrible. Like it's so hard to control. But it could have been a really awesome game.
Sure.
Because like it's co-op and you're
Now, which
Jedi.
one is that? The one where you can pick a Jedi to be?
Yeah. You can play as
Plo
Obi-Wan,
Koon
Qui-Gon, Mace Windu. What's her name? The one girl.
Ayla Secura.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Plo Koon.
Plo Koon. Yeah, I thought Plo Koon was in there.
Those 5. And it's terrible. You should never play it.
Okay, I won't.
But yeah, I've been playing.
Has that? I mean, and you like a lot of like older games. I mean, you like a lot of newer games too. But I know you've gone back and played like what Crash Bandicoot. Like is that one that you're a fan of? No.
Actually, Crash Bandicoot. I never owned them, but I used to play them a lot. No, eventually I did. No, I didn't. Never owned it, but I used to play it as a lot of people's classes. Those are fun games. I would get those again. But no, I was playing Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie. What did I say?
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot.
That's different. Same time period. That was PlayStation.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
PlayStation.
See, I never had a
Banjo-Kazooie was
PlayStation.
rareware for the Nintendo 64.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Well, I had the rare replay for the Xbox.
Well, what I'm getting at is you have a lot of video game. You have a lot of video game cred, and
kind of.
I want the world to know that about you.
Not really.
No, but I mean, that was a cool thing. That was a cool. I just want to. It's basically more of me just complimenting you. So just take the compliment. It was a great idea of you that you had to play the old Star Wars games on the lead up to the new Star Wars movie.
Still making my way through them.
What do you still like? What did you buy that you still haven't played or beaten yet?
Well, I never beat Dark Forces, but I have the sequels to those too.
Oh yeah, those. I like the sequels.
There's a sequel which is called, I don't remember what it's called, but then the third one is
Jedi Academy.
The third one is Jedi Academy, or
yeah,
I think the second one.
Yeah, what
and
is
then
the second
Jedi Academy and the Jedi Outcast.
Isn't it Jedi Outcast the second one?
No, there's Dark Forces. There's a second.
Maybe the
one.
second one's just Dark Forces 2.
Yeah, basically, but it has like a subtitle. It's like No, it's called Dark Forces 2. I don't remember.
Kyle Katarn is awesome. Is that?
Do you like Kyle Katarn?
I do like Kyle Katarn. Of all the EU characters, and there's not very many EU characters that are only in video games, but he's a good character, and he's only in video games. He's good. I mean, I think he might be in some books and stuff. I don't remember, but yeah, he's a good character overall.
Okay.
And actually, the more I think about it, the less I like him in the video game. But anyway, I like the idea of Kyle Katarn better than I actually like Kyle. Well, I don't. This interview is about me anyway, so we'll
save that.
Yeah, save that for the thing. Now this is a age-old question. I really want you to think about this question.
Okay.
And I don't want just a one-word answer. It could be just a one-word answer, but I don't want that. I want a reason behind your answer. So, you know, just think about that when we're going into this.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, boy. I have a strong opinion on this.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Okay.
Fire away.
I absolutely do not like cats at all. I hate cats.
Okay. Go on.
I don't like anything about them. They're terrible creatures, and I wish they didn't exist. Here's the thing. I've
heard you say the same thing about Jar Jar Binks.
He's, well, yeah. But he'd be worse if he was a cat. No, I don't like cats. We had my David Wester just got a cat, so I got one in my apartment now, which is fine.
Who is that? Who's David Wester? For people out in the world that don't know who that is. Okay, great.
But he got a cat, and it's fine. We were watching someone's cat. He got it because we were watching someone else's cat, a friend of his.
Cat sitting.
And their cat was fine. He was a really nice cat. He was kind of the only reason I liked him because he was really well behaved.
Mind your business,
and he
cat.
was the nicest cat I've ever seen because he was like a nerd cat. Like he had asthma, just like would walk around just meow and then be like, and then start like having asthma and was like so non-violent and just, and I almost pitied it. And it's cats are furry, but outside of that, I do not like cats. It might go back to, we had cats for a while when I was a kid, when I was probably around 12 maybe, for a couple of years, and they were not my cat, or my brother and I shared a room. The cat stayed in our room.
Oh boy.
They stayed in our room.
Wait, there were multiple cats?
There's two cats. They were brothers, and they stayed in my
just
brother's
like you
room.
and your brother.
But they were not our cats. They were our sister's cats.
Oh.
How they ended up being in our room, I do not know. I don't know why we got stuck with them.
Eesh.
But regardless, they were assholes. They were asshole cats. They'd fight all the time in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Oh, that's always the case.
And they got hair everywhere. Our room was just covered in hair.
I hate cat hair.
Yeah.
It gets everywhere.
And they would puke all over. They would puke all the time. And
Yeah.
there was even a time where I got up in the middle of the night, and just stepped right into a giant pile of puke. And they did it all the time. And
Constantly.
neither my
What were
parents
their
or
names?
whoever my sister owned the cat didn't decide to change their diet.
What were the cats' names?
One was Pumpkin because he was orange, and the other one was his name was Frankenstein. And they're both assholes. And
Well, you would
I hate
expect Frankenstein to be an asshole.
I mean, he was,
I'm just saying.
and so was his brother, Pumpkin. And
Yeesh.
yeah, so it could go back to that. But in general, I think it's made worse by the fact that like people love cats, and
That's
they're
true.
all over the internet, and like everywhere you
Yeah.
go, it's just people posting things with their cats, and
Cats.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But I love dogs, and I really like dogs, and I hope to one day, when I'm actually own my own house, to own a dog. I currently don't, but
One
yeah.
day.
To answer your question,
Dream big.
dogs.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were. I was worried about that question. I was like, I really want to ask that question, but I mean, I
Do you ask that to everyone?
I don't ask that to everyone.
Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna. Yeah. Okay. We're getting close to the end here, so we're gonna get a little more serious after this question.
Oh.
After this question, we're gonna get more serious. Okay.
Wait,
so
the dog and
no.
cat
I've
question
got
was not
one
serious?
question coming up, and
dog-
then it's gonna get dark.
But the dog and cat question was not the serious one.
That is not the serious one. But, I mean, that is sort of. You made it. You made it dark. You took it to a dark place. But okay, so you know how this works. So fuck, marry, kill. You know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah.
Poe, Finn, Rey. For anyone who hasn't seen Star Wars: The Force Awakens, those are characters in the new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens. That's Poe Dameron, Finn. Does he have a last name?
Yes.
And Rey, who also doesn't have a last name. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Obviously, as a straight man, with Rey, and she's super attractive.
True.
If I marry her, I'm assuming I get to fuck her whenever.
On the
like,
reg.
like a marriage.
On the reg, yeah.
So
You got to consummate the marriage to make it official anyway. So at least once anyway. But then you got to live with her for the rest of your life too.
all right. So marry Rey.
Sure. Good choice.
Is that your phone?
Yes. I'm sorry. Who's conducting this interview? All right, so marry Rey.
So yeah, marry Rey. I have to say, while I do think it pains me to say it, I do think John Boyega is an attractive man.
Yeah. Don't be ashamed of
And
it.
well, I'm ashamed because I would have to say I have to kill him, and he's
Oh.
black, and I don't. That makes me seem racist.
Okay. Well, officially you're not racist.
But I am going to kill him. Officially, I'm not racist, but I am going to kill him,
Sure.
and then fuck Oscar Isaac because he's
He's a good-looking guy.
kind of my man crush.
He's a good-looking
He's
guy.
an attractive man.
That's-
I saw Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh yeah.
He's really good in that.
Yeah.
He's really good in everything.
He's in everything. Like that's how it goes. I
And
don't-
Poe was awesome.
Yeah, Poe was super awesome. And I think that's probably
And it's great because like that's like my homosexual experiment.
Yeah. You
And
get that
then
out of the way and
I
then
get
you can
that
go
away,
marry.
and it's
Right.
Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just fucked the best pilot in the whole
Galaxy.
And now I'm married to Rey.
Yeah. The best
And
one of the best
unfortunately,
characters.
Finn's dead.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's
I do like him.
I wish you didn't kill. I wish you hadn't killed him.
I'm only killing him because that was the third option. So,
Wow.
is there any way I can change kill to like? I was gonna say keep him in my home, but then that sounds like slavery.
You just said you're not racist.
I'm not. That's why I'm not.
So
All
yeah,
right,
that's
fine,
why
he's
that's not
dead.
an option.
Fine,
That's
he's
not an
dead.
option. Okay.
Sorry, Finn.
You're a racist. Going back to that actually. There's a lot of stuff on the internet about Poe Dameron just being pansexual. There's a lot of people that want
Well, it's because
Poe and Finn to be.
I mean, there's that whole
together.
bromance thing. But there's always that fan fiction of like, with
Well,
like,
yeah.
like with Harry Potter. With anytime there's two best friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys who are like have a bromance.
Did I just
bromance is a big like word.
Yeah, yeah.
People love using that now, and especially in Force Awakens, Poe and Finn were like, "Oh, bro, hey man."
Yeah.
Not bro. They didn't say bro. But
Hey, bro.
they gave off that bro
Yeah.
vibe almost. And
Did I just give away what kind of fan fiction I read? I might have.
We all read it. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Okay, so same question. Fuck, marry, kill. Kylo Ren, General Hux, and Captain Phasma.
We know that Captain Phasma is played by Gwendolyn Christie.
That's
Not that
true.
this will affect this much, but we actually technically don't know what she looks like, right? Even though we know
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we
maybe
don't.
she
Yeah.
looks-
There,
I
in
only asked-
fact, there. Let me just tangent here. There was a rumor.
That rumor about her being a Gungan? Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because
That's true. We don't know what she looks like. She could be
she's
a
a
Gungan.
but I'm going to assume for this that she's Gwendolyn Christie.
Okay.
I'm going to say
This is a tough one. I think this one's almost. Well, they're both tough.
no. I think I have it.
Okay.
I'm gonna marry Hux
Okay. Ooh.
because Hux seems like the most well, maybe Captain Phasma too. But the thing about Kylo Ren is he doesn't seem stable at all.
Yeah, he's a little unstable. I
He's
would
a little
describe.
unstable.
Yeah.
He killed his father.
He did.
Han Solo. Oh,
Oh,
spoilers!
spoilers!
Oh, shit. But yeah, so but he also he seems pretty successful. Like
Yeah.
he might be I think he's probably
young.
an asshole,
And successful.
but he's probably wealthy. Comes from a wealthy family.
Maybe.
So
You don't get to be a general at like 23 or whatever.
Yeah, he's
he
young.
is.
That's the
yeah.
thing too. He's like really young. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna marry him. I'm gonna kill Kylo Ren because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He's an asshole. He's unstable. I don't want anything to do with him.
You're gonna save the galaxy. A lot of trouble if you kill him.
Right. And yeah, and then fuck Captain Phasma.
That's a safe choice because if she is a Gungan, then you just get your Gungan fetish out of the way and you're not married to her.
Yeah.
I think that's a good choice. I didn't think about it. I like
What
it.
was yours then?
This isn't about me.
Alright.
I don't.
Tell me on the podcast.
Yeah, I will. We'll talk about it on the podcast.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are. What's your 5-year plan, David Tavolier? Where do you see David Tavolier in 5 years?
I'll start off. I hate this question. I hate when I ask it.
I know.
I know everyone does.
This is one that I ask
In job
everybody, too.
interviews, it's terrible.
Yeah, this is.
But yeah, I'll give you an answer. I just hope to be doing what I'm doing, but more. Like, I finally like the job I have now. What I'm doing is good, but it's just to me, it's just a starting point, and I plan on it's giving me the opportunity to do like we're gonna do a podcast. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have the job. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have the knowledge to put it all together. But I just plan on doing more and more as time goes on. It's I found what I want to do and I'm getting better at stuff. I'm learning stuff. Saving up money so I can buy more stuff.
It's all about the stuff.
Video stuff. That is.
Oh, sure.
So yeah. So I mean, I hope to be doing what I like. I don't nothing against the place I work at now, but I don't want to work there forever. Like it's
Sure.
a good job, but I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for things that are even better. And as long as I don't go backward, like I don't
Yeah.
wanna never not have a job doing what I'm doing right now.
You don't want to
so
be back in retail again? You don't
I'm
have
happy as long as. But even if that does happen, even if I have to go back and
Sure.
work a job, I've learned enough and gotten myself on track so well late in the last year that I could easily get back on the track a lot easier. It was just hard
yeah.
getting on in the first place after college.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's yeah.
Yeah. So 5 years. I plan to be married to Ray, and Finn will be dead.
And you've had sex with the best pilot in the galaxy.
Exactly.
All right, that's a good plan.
Poe Dameron.
Poe Dameron. He's a cool guy.
Give me some of that Poe.
What does that even mean?
I just want to fuck Poe.
Okay, fair enough.
Poe from Teletubbies.
See, I was always more of a Lala fan myself. That always did it for me.
You know what? Tinky Winky. To me.
Tinky Winky gets a lot of love. Everybody loves Tinky Winky, but I feel like Tinky Winky is too selfish. Would be a selfish lover. Anyway, All right, so this is pretty much how I always end.
Was that the serious one?
What?
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that was a serious one. That
No.
was.
I thought it was gonna be like. No, never mind.
No,
Anyway, go on.
What would be your here? This is what would be a serious question? What would?
No, it'd be like, have you ever killed a man? Have you ever thought about killing someone legitimately?
Well, that's you brought it up.
Next dinner.
Teaser for the podcast.
Teaser for the podcast.
We're gonna have an episode in the podcast of just
Did you
killing
watch Making
people.
Murderer, by the way?
Okay, let me talk about that for a second.
What? Why don't we save it for the podcast? Let's end this.
Yeah, okay. So
No, we keep going.
I end my these interviews that I've done with pretty much the same way. Describe yourself. It could be a sentence. It could just be random words. However you want to do it. Describe yourself in 7 words.
Oh, I'm not good with words. Titulating.
Okay,
Um,
that's one.
I'm not good with words. You're the writer. I'm a visual guy.
Oh, I see.
I put words into visuals. Um, Lazy.
Okay.
Legitimate. I am lazy. It's not really one word, but self-absorbed.
Could be hyphenated.
Okay. Okay. Groovy.
Okay, that's 4. Titulating, lazy, self-absorbed, groovy.
I said titulating as a joke, but I kind of want to keep it.
Well, I'm keeping it.
Okay.
I'm
So
counting
you
it.
need one more?
I need 3 more.
Wait, how many words?
7 words.
Seven?
7
Oh,
words. I
jeez.
said.
Sleepy.
All the time you're sleepy?
I am. Always.
Okay.
Like, I know a lot of people say that, and most people are. But I legitimately am just always tired.
Okay.
I slept for 13 hours today.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
13 hours? What time did you go to bed?
Like midnight. Caught up at 1:30-ish.
What?
Yeah. I sleep so long. Like,
Do you have a disorder? Have you gotten that checked out?
I've always been that way. If I'm groggy all day, if I have to get up for work, if after like 8 hours doesn't do it for me, the 8 hours just doesn't do it for me. I need like, yeah. It's
Anyway.
How many more do you need?
2 more. 2 more words about David Tavolier.
How about? I'm falling asleep just thinking about it.
Talking about 13 hours sleep. I'm so sleepy.
What's a good word for doesn't like not too overly doesn't care overly? I mean that
Apathetic.
yes, that's a good one. Apathetic.
Okay.
Generally.
1 more.
I
I should have been writing these down, but I didn't.
You got to write it down.
I said I should have been.
Why? You got to record.
Just to
it.
keep track. Well, I mean, during these, so I can.
You don't remember? Titulating.
Titulating. Lazy.
There's something before that, wasn't there?
Self-absorbed.
That's right. Sleepy.
Sleepy. What was that last one you said? Apathetic.
Apathetic.
Man, you sound like a real asshole.
Glad titulating's in there.
He starts out strong, but then he goes down here real quick.
But I'll put in I'm generally happy. I'm not really,
Okay. That's good. That's a good one to end on.
It may seem like I'm
You know what that makes you sound like?
what?
And
I think an insane person.
no. Okay, just follow me here. Titulating, lazy, self-absorbed, sleepy, apathetic, happy.
Like the Seven Dwarves.
No. Just the first thing that came to my mind was a pug dog. Just
Couldn't that just be any dog? Just because you have puggles.
Well, but I feel like, I don't know, just the lazy part. Not all dogs are lazy.
All dogs go to heaven, though.
Dom DeLuise's finest work. And Burt Reynolds. Do you think because... Do you think... That'll be one of the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, that podcast episode coming up.
Time.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I haven't seen that in forever.
Is there one more word?
No, that's it. So
it is?
So, you know, and why I like that question is it really, on a serious note, it really does make you think about yourself and try to like honestly describe yourself. And I think you did a good job.
Okay.
So before we end this thing, do you have anything else you would like to bring up? Anything you want to plug or talk about, or anything you're just generally excited about that you want to mention in this interview?
Only because we're about to start our own podcast. I feel like I have nothing to give for this.
Yeah, I agreed.
But if you want to hear more from me, we'll be doing a podcast soon.
Oh yeah, we will.
So I'll leave it at that.
I don't want to hear any more from you, but if anyone
I don't
out
want
there
to hear any more from me either.
If anyone out there wants to hear more from you, you can hear it in future episodes of our podcast. So then we'll leave off there. Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
And
Sweat.
especially because I thank you because it'll be you who's editing this. So
great, thanks.
So thank you for that as well.
What if I just edit you out completely?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's understandable. So we'll be signing off then. Thank you for joining me. I am Joshua Witzman, and this is Mindless Philosophy on WordPress. It's mindlessthefirst.wordpress.com.
Stay classy.
You stay classy, Akron, Ohio.
We're in Cleveland.
Cleveland, Ohio. Northeast Ohio.
Northeast Ohio. That it?
That's a wrap.